we back rolling now. I'm just saying the podcast with Miss Glam Jones and Mike the Shrewd businessman. We was getting into it, but of course we had to take a break and pause for a minute and go over some things in our own real world. And on the camera too. You know, he might have recorded some of it. He is, I signed the Shrewd businessman part 2. The college guy, the 18-year-old phenom. I hope he's taking notes to listen to what to avoid in these life spectacles that he might go through later on. But see, he's taking the high road. See, we stayed in the gutter, in the mud. See, he's getting away from the gutter by going to college. See, the path is different. So I'm going to move on, move forward. I just wanted to give my nephew a shout out. Good dude, going to college, graduated with honors, and definitely made everybody proud. Went on the prom and looked like a stud. You know what I mean? A stud muffin. You know what I mean? He had on his P. Diddy coat, glamour and glitz on, shining, this girl shining. You know, it looked good. Everybody was proud. But we had to have these proud moments so we could talk about that instead of what I'm about to talk about right now. Sorry to say it, but the streets and everything is out of control right now, right? And I got to ask a couple of questions. Y'all remember back in the day when we used to knock on the door? Hey, yo, Mike, you coming out right now? What's up, bro? We going to play the game, or we going to trade Nintendo cartridges, or we even going to trade? Bring your G.I. Joes. Let's trade G.I. Joes. Ain't that what we used to do? Yeah. Bring out your Stars of Slaughter, because they don't sell that in the store. What happened to the days when we was knocking on each other's doors, pulling each other outside to do fun things? Y'all remember when we used to say, come on, man, let's just walk around and see what's going on. I don't see people doing that no more. And then we lead to what was going on now, and there's a whole bunch of chaos and mass shootings on South Street and stuff like that. I wonder why, guys, we don't have a POW recreation open anymore. Why we don't have the boxing recreation gym volunteer open anymore. And why don't we have the more summer league football and basketball leagues that we can turn to? I'm looking for that because I have kids. And I'm connected to kids, so I'm always going to be on outreach. And then I'm looking for programs, and they're very limited compared to before the pandemic. And we notice things have gone out of control since we come back down from the pandemic. Things have gotten out of control. Do you agree? I should say 3 because I'm going to count. Cameraman, can you turn on to my bodyguard right here? Right here, Shrewd Knight, Senior.
Keep it tight.
Thank you. That's my man right there. Any problems, I'm going to send him. Anyway, just make sure if you get the bill, you better pay it. So he involved. He's taking next legs as payment. All right. Let's move forward. What I'm saying is things have gotten out of control with our kids and society. And I'm glad that this young man's not tied to a lot of followers and following their friends. Because my friends I follow behind, they didn't lead me down to them dark roads that's going on now. Although that we had to survive, hustle mode, survive. Some of us had to do different things to hustle to survive, but they didn't lead us down dark alleys like right now. We walk down South Street. I don't even tell you I got the gun on me. And then somebody gets smart and step on my new J's. I'm just pulling out bucking. That's what's going on these days. But I don't hear nothing going on the news. I hear all of that, right? But I don't hear nothing going on in the news about they open up a new POW, a new basketball recreation, a new summer league for football, basketball, boxing, swimming, baseball, softball. I don't hear nothing. Why are we being seen like deminimized with funds as far as our community, the outreach for our children, and programs that used to be there in the early 2000s, late 90s, mid 90s, and so on and beyond? Why are these things not our resources anymore for our children to have something different to turn to other than shooting each other and fighting and violence? Can I ask Mr. Shrewd businessman first in his opinion? How he looking, cameraman? How he looking?
I'm gonna leave with
looking good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna leave with as far as the recreation centers and stuff like that. I remember a few years back, it wasn't this bad how it is now.
It ain't. It wasn't.
But a few years back, the kids, they still were open, but the kids were going in there and not doing the right thing. You understand? The kids were going in there and if it's a pool table in there, they taking it, They taking the balls and throwing them, making holes in the wall. They just wasn't doing the right thing. They stealing the basketballs out of, and I don't. I just think, parenting starts at home. Parenting should start at home.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? When you should teach your child like it's a certain way you should act once you leave out of his house, because you are a representation of me and your father, or me and your mother. I'm saying your representation of.
But Shrewd businessman, do you agree it's less fathers around to help teach what women can't really teach?
I would say it's less parents.
Not to get too deep, right? I have a few of my children are still in sports, but they up in the Willow Grove area, they up in other areas, but you have to pay for that. You have to pay for soccer,
right.
You have to pay for basketball, you have to pay for the YMCA gives free swim lessons.
Right.
You understand? But it's up to the parent to get the child to the recreational center.
Agreed.
Out in the counties.
Out in the county front, where they volunteer services.
They're still up and running out in certain areas. You understand? But I'm starting to see a lot of parents that rather had a Gucci shoes, Gucci belt, or they jumping on planes instead of investing in the child.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're not investing in your child, somebody's going to invest in your child. And if you want to invest in your child to help, to try to help your child become a productive citizen in society,
right?
Then that's what you do,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But if you don't, then the streets are going to invest in your child. Whether it be good, bad, right, wrong, indifferent, your child is going to take to something.
Right.
You should, us as parents should hope that our child takes the game that we're giving up, because we want you to be positive and successful. We don't want to bury you. We don't want to go see you in nobody's jail.
Absolutely.
You understand? We want to raise you to make us proud at some point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I'm just not getting that from a lot of people, from our demographic. You understand? A lot of people just their priorities are not
where they need to be.
Where they should be. I'm gonna try to be, their priorities, and I'm not gonna say the priorities are not focused on their children. I'm gonna just say, from the outside looking in, because I'm not in each and everybody's individual household. I'm gonna just say, from the outside looking in, the priorities are not where they should be. I'm gonna try to.
Okay, so I appreciate that answer, and that was a very good response. And now I want to move on to Ms. Glam Jones' response. Get your response and takes on. You remember the days when they was knocking on the door, you want to play double dutch, jump rope, and now where we are to years and years later to just a lot of madness and not a lot of resources and solutions for our youth.
Well, I was definitely a POW girl. We used to go to POW, and then there used to be basketball. All the girls used to be outside of the POW.
You probably was kick ass, wasn't you?
Yeah, the guys would be in playing basketball. The girls would have double dutch tournaments outside. But I don't remember growing up having activities for girls. We did have drill team. Because I grew up in Logan. Okay. So in Logan, we had the POW. I think that was like on 12th or 11th Street. But everybody used to be out there playing double dutch. But I can say, I can agree with what he was saying as far as I feel like people priorities switched. Absolutely. And I think that's because now we have the social media, so every parent's trying to out-parent each other. Instead of, Bobby's mom took him to, let's say Bobby mom took him to Jamaica. So I'm just naming stuff.
No, that's what's on the gram and the book.
Right.
That's what's on there.
So now little Tony want to go to Jamaica. So now, like he said, the parent is not, they're still being parents. They're concerned. They're still trying to do their best. But when we were growing up, our parents forced us to take our asses outside. Shrewd, get from off that telephone. Go outside. Go jump rope. Go play. Go get some sun. They didn't care if it was snow outside. You taking your ass outside today. You're not going to be in the house.
Right.
And I feel like, plus there's a lot of younger parents.
Right, that's true.
Because they're having sex way earlier than us.
Right.
Like, I'm like, 10? I wasn't, yes. The young lady said 10. I swear, I put this on everything. I am not lying.
That's a shame.
I am not lying.
You're not even developed.
Exactly. No, that's the problem. But guess what? She's the one's having the babies.
Oh my God.
They're having kids earlier than what we were. Like we just discussed, most of y'all had your kids in your late teens. I feel like even like my mom and them, my mom had me at what, 18. You said 19.
25.
21.
Right. But I think the later teens is normal. It's getting abnormal because now the kids are younger. They're like in 8th grade, 9th grade, not like junior. I did know somebody when I was in 9th grade. It was one girl that was pregnant. But most of the time, you like in 11th grade, 12th grade, you start seeing people pregnant.
Let me ask you this, not to cut you off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we was in school and somebody came to school pregnant? No matter what grade you went. No matter what grade you went. I don't care if you were senior.
What the
weird.
Somebody came to school with that belly poking out.
Pregnant.
Right, it was weird.
God!
It's normal now.
What the hell happened to her?
Right.
She got pregnant. How did that happen? It's like it's a big thing when you in school.
It's normal.
Back then it was a big thing.
Back then in the 90s, it was a big thing.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, she pregnant too?
So that goes back to the POW and stuff like that. These kids are younger. The parents are younger. There's no need for it because no one's going.
Right.
There's no one's going and no one's taking accountability because guess what? The people running the POW was like our age, the age that we are now.
That's true.
With good head on their shoulders, wanting these kids to do better. We don't have that many. We don't have that many
anymore.
We don't have that many.
Yeah. Let me interject right there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's more so the people our age don't want to interact with the youngest coming up because the youngest coming up are so radical. Yeah, they're so aggressive to where though you like, man, I ain't sitting here messing with him and I run the risk of getting shot or I run the risk of getting at him and I gotta get up and go to work tomorrow. I'm not messing with little what you call little Bobby, Tony.
I don't know.
Little Tony.
Yeah, I'm not. When I was, when we was coming up, old heads would give us game. Whether they seen us doing the right thing or the wrong thing, they would sit here and tell us, listen, man, this ain't
get off that corner.
Whatever. Yeah, how many times we used to get chased off the corner?
A lot. A lot.
Like,
27th Street, we got chased off that corner a lot.
They felt like they was doing their part, and they was in the street, but they felt like if they tell us to get off the corner, they was doing their part as a society.
Right.
Because they say it takes a village to raise a child. We just don't have them villages anymore because children are so angry, children are so radical, and you don't want to take that chance of not waking up the next day or not being able to go to work the next day to feed your family because you try to reach out to somebody else's child and now you in a predicament. You don't want to take that risk. You understand? Well, that's
what do you think changed? I'm asking questions, but what do you think changed? Like you said, from when we were growing up, how we weren't as aggressive. We were still out there fighting and doing all that little dumb stuff too. But why do you think these kids are so aggressive and so angry now versus we weren't?
That's a good one.
I ain't want to go.
That's a good one.
You want my honest opinion?
That's why I asked.
Go ahead, you lead off, Mike. You lead off, Mike. You hot.
I feel like a lot of these children are so aggressive, so mad, so angry. It all stems back from the father not being in the household for whatever reason. For whatever reason.
We spoke on that before.
The mom could have been.
We spoke on that before.
Mom could have been on some tip, pop left. Now mom don't want to let the pop see the child. Hypothetically. Now the child and all the games she giving up is bad game. Your pop ain't this, your pop ain't that. So it drips down into the child and it festers. You know what I'm saying? And the child can't holler at the dad because the dad ain't there. Right? So now, but the child is steadily growing in size, in mindset. They're constantly growing, so they got to get this anger out some way. You understand?
And they take it out on everybody else.
They take it out on everybody else. It start out as fighting. Like why little Johnny fighting every day? All he do is fight. He's angry. He's angry because
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's just that's so real.
He's angry.
I gotta laugh about it.
Yeah, he's angry because his dad ain't there. He's angry because he don't have the new shoes. And
he's angry because he can't let it out.
And he's angry because he doesn't have a release. He doesn't know how to let it out. Like you say, there's no pals. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of times coming up in recreation centers, even if you wasn't good at sports, you still can go to the pal
to hang out
and chill.
The gather center, and you still have some kind of father figure inside whoever's running the basketball team.
That's what I said.
Big George. Shout out to Big George.
That's
from
still like
Gather
your,
Center. Big George still around
your
teaching
father
the young
figure.
folks
That's
how to
still like
play
your-
ball. We
your father
appreciate you.
figure.
You was one that was doing it. Big George.
You know, and so if you don't have a father in the household, you tend to drift into where your father figure is. You understand? And your father figure might be in the street. So now you're already angry. You're taking time bomb. You're already angry. Now your father figure's in the street, and you seen him doing all this nut stuff. So now you feel like the nut stuff is cool. So once you add the nut stuff with the anger, you got a bomb. You know what I'm saying? It's
a
like
lot of little bombs going off out
it's
here.
like a bomb. And
A
then
lot of bombs.
when the bomb goes off, that's when you start hearing a gunshot. That's when you start, and that's when people our age start pulling back. You're gonna pull back from a bomb. I ain't gotta see that the stove is on fire to see that it's hot. I'm not touching it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I see you a little bomb and all that, I'm not even speaking.
Right.
When you walk past, I'm gonna put my head down. I don't want no interaction. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm too valuable to too many people.
I love that. Say that again.
Sitting here putting my life at risk, or your life at risk, because I ain't gonna let you just up and do nothing to me.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And be sitting in a jail cell for the rest of my life, or my parents, or my children, or my wife burying me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you just pull self-consciously. It's not a decision being made for it. It's self-consciously. You know what I'm saying? You just pull back because you know, oh, here you come. Oh, I ain't. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna act like I'm on the phone. Or I'm gonna walk to my car, act like I left my cigarettes in the car. You know what I'm saying? You gonna do any little thing to get away from that. And I don't know if I see it getting better.
Right.
Like how can it get better? I don't know. I just feel like for me being a father, I feel like a lot of our youth is angry because a lot of fathers are not in the home for whatever reason. It don't have to be the dad being on drugs or the dad just being a deadbeat dad. It could be the mom's fault. If you live in a Section 8, the dad can't be there.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? They come for that inspection. You better not see no size 12 sneakers in there.
That's true. They say, I'm going to put your stuff in the closet because inspection coming.
Yeah, you already know the drill.
I know
I've been there.
I live with my sister, and she had to do this to me.
Yeah, so whatever. Well, you know what society. Never mind. That's enough. I ain't gonna get Malcolm X on. You know what I'm saying? But these children are angry. They're hurt. And a lot of children, from what I'm seeing today from outside looking in, they have a sense of entitlement.
That's power. Yes.
But my thing is, why? Why do you feel like
Entitled.
I owe you something?
Right.
Why?
Why?
I can't tell you how many times I come up here and I really try not to get gas while I'm up this joint, man.
Because them kids be right at the gas
They run up to
station.
you, and then you tell them, no, I got it. Like, I don't carry cash.
Right. Me neither.
I'm not giving you my card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when you say, no, I got it, young buck. Damn, man. I just be
This happened
quiet.
to me on Friday.
I just be quiet, man. I just be quiet.
You was on Broad Street?
No, I actually was on Gerard Avenue. I just be quiet because I know me, right?
Yeah.
And I only got so much back and forth in me before. Like, where we going with this? You know what I'm saying? So before I get into that, I'm going to just shut on up, get my gas, and get on out of there.
Right. Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah, so I just feel like it's the fathers, for whatever reason. I'm not saying if you're not seeing your child that you're a bad father. But I know from experience something went on to where as though you don't see your child like you would like to. You know what I'm saying? Because us as men, when you have a son, you want to raise your son to be the mirror image of you. Right? Am I right?
The better version of
When
you.
you have a daughter, you want to raise a little queen. You want to raise a little princess. That's your princess. You want to raise a little princess up to be a queen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you want to show her what to go for and what not to go for in a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't just sit up here and tell me that, I'm going to say 7 out of 10 men. I'm going to say you can't just sit up here and tell me 7 out of 10 men don't want to be actively in their children's lives. Right. I refuse to believe that. Now you might got 3% that's trash. Right. But you know, that's the mom fault. You laid down and had this baby and you had a decision. You had a decision to carry this baby for the full term. Right. You didn't have, you know, I'm not the advocate for nothing, but
right. We're not gonna go into that part, but we understand what you're trying to say.
You chose that man.
You chose that man, and that's the decision you gotta live with, whether you have to raise on your own or with help.
I mean, and you see signs.
You always see signs while you with them.
You know, but
while you pregnant, but before you pregnant, yeah, you always see signs.
You see signs. But I'm a pass the mic. I'm a preacher.
So we gonna move on from that because we know we can't fix what's going on in society right now. It's just mass out of control as far as gun violence and kids. And I heard Mike say this before, really from the age of 15 to the age of 25. It's hard to touch them. It's harder to reach them, I should say. It's hard to reach them. To reach them with a message. It's almost like climbing the mountaintop and touching the hands with Gandhi. That's how hard it is. Because they're so out of reach. That age and that burial from that range is hard to connect with. So I'm just praying for change and hope and optimism. But like Mike said, he just gave you a lot of scenarios where you can avoid some of these paths and try to move forward. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to move forward from that into the next topic. We got a lot going on. So I want to ask y'all this question. And I don't know how y'all feel about Kevin Samuels. I believe that's his name. A lot of people have different type of perspectives of what's going on in society, but he had a different deliberation and what he narrated in far as his message that he deliberated. God rest his soul. Passed away, I believe, a few months back. And I kept up a little bit. I just didn't get into it because I'm doing my own thing, as you can see. But in the bottom of the underground, working my way up and seeing Harriet and seeing Malcolm. But what I'm saying is, before I get all the way up to the ground level, this man was up there and he had media success. But then I hear the clapbacks come from like Vivica Fox saying stuff like, this guy was really, a woman hater or, didn't really have a real message to liberate. It sounded like there's a lot of hate, rage, or not really giving a woman their just due credit. And I took it as, I don't think that's what I heard. I didn't take offense to what she said, but I just said, that's not what I heard. I just heard difference. What he was trying to do was really build people up, self-esteem up from a different way, maybe from the bottom all the way on up, instead of putting you as a 10 automatically. How do you feel about that, Miss Glam? Because I know you probably can relate, because my woman, she followed them.
I followed them too.
Right. So let's get your intake on. You followed them. Shit. Turn the camera around. Cameraman. College man. Turn the camera around. To just do it. Turn around to just do it. Did you follow him?
Yes. Everybody followed him.
We all followed him. So let's talk about it because we all can relate. What's your perspective on what he was trying to do and what his message was versus what was deliberated after he passed?
I feel like I found Kevin Samuels because I was going through some stuff and I was Googling stuff and he kept popping up. And I can say that some of his messages did help me get out of some of the things that I was going through. I just felt like he was raw.
He was definitely raw.
But I'm raw, so I liked it. I'm like, listen, if it ain't you, move to the next. But I feel like when he was talking to people, they were taking offense because it was them.
Right.
And sometimes when you telling people about themselves, they can't take that shit. And I feel like that's what he was doing. He wasn't putting no sugar on it. He was like, listen, you dirty. And they didn't like it.
Right.
But I feel like he was giving out real messages. And then people was like, well, he's not married. He's human. He messed up. How do you think he learned this stuff? How do you think he learned it? He's not perfect.
Right. Because see, like they would say stuff like that to me. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just piggybacking off of you, and I'm gonna let Mike answer. But I heard people say, I'm married and I've been married to the same woman for 19 years, and they rather listen to Steve Harvey and than listen to me. And so I mean, it doesn't matter if you're married or not. I just look at it because this man who's married 19 years, I don't want no advice from him because I know what he's doing. I know what he's doing in real life.
Right.
But I'm going to move on and get all my feelings and just let Miss Lamb Jones and Mr. Mike Shrewd, businessman, answer about how they felt about Mr. Kevin Samuels and the message he was trying to deliberate.
First of all, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels.
Rest
I was
in
a
peace,
big
brother.
fan. I was a big fan.
Definitely.
I feel like he had a good message, but his delivery might have been too much for a lot of people. They feel like he was a woman basher and so on and so forth. But I seen a couple of episodes where men was calling in and he was getting in their ass. But
he was just blunt.
I just like what he say, buying a gang, like he don't. I'm big on not coming out the house with your hair, with your hair,
Hair bonnet.
unless you're a Muslim woman and you're in full hijab. That's I love that. But if you just had a bonnet on because you don't want your edges to get hard and all that, no. You don't come out the house like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I see it a lot.
Right.
I see it a lot with them bonnets. Or he'll tell a female, he'll play the Humpty Dumpty music and they say he's telling them, you know what I mean, for their height, they should be at a certain weight. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that to a certain extent, but I feel like the weights and stuff he was saying were either, I'm attributed to, they were either weights for people back in the day who wasn't consuming the stuff that we're consuming today,
Right.
or they're for a different race of people.
Right.
You know
That's
what I'm
what
saying?
society put down on paper. That's,
Yeah, because everybody not built the same. But I get what he was saying, because he was saying, if you don't have certain credentials or whatever, how you expect to attract a man in the 2% of the 2 percentile of men making a certain amount of money. You know what I'm saying? How are you even going to get in the building to have a conversation with this man?
Right.
You know what I'm
Y'all
saying?
ain't got nothing to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, the man might like you physically. He might knife you. He might have, y'all might do some things. You know what I'm saying?
But he ain't gonna keep you.
Yeah, he's not looking for the long haul. You understand? And I got what he was saying a lot of times. I just feel like a lot of females who was calling up there, they seen he had a lot of followers, so they would get on there and try to get their followers up by being on there. Or they would get on there and try to be combative and argue with him to try you know, to, like, they might be in the house drinking and let's call him and let's get a laugh off of him, whatever.
Right.
It's one thing that I could say that, sorry to cut you off.
No, you good.
But it's one thing that he said that really opened my eyes, that us women do, I could say, because I was doing it. You want a husband, but are you acting like a wife?
Yeah, about that.
Deep, right?
Very
that made me
deep.
check myself.
Yeah.
It made me think, like, damn, am I? No, because a lot of us women nowadays are trying to play the same games that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Right.
So he kind of G-checked me. I was dead serious. Like, he G-checked the crap out of me. Like, I'm not no man.
Right.
And it made me want to be more feminine, because I like alpha men. And I realized I wasn't attracting alpha men because I'm being the alpha. Ain't no alpha gonna come over here.
Wow.
Ain't no alpha gonna come here because I'm used to being the alpha. So then he really was checking the shit out of me. I'm like watching his videos.
Wow.
And when he said that, he was like, are you being a wife? I want a husband, but are you prepared for that husband?
Wow.
So then I start thinking, okay, no, because I'm still juggling Joe, Tom. I'm juggling like niggas juggling. Like,
Right.
that's not how a wife act.
Wow.
You know, but in the community that we live in, that's the games that everyone's playing, so you get caught up in those games.
And it's accepted.
Right. And that's what I was saying. That same young girl, when she realized she doing some stupid stuff, I already done did that stuff, though. Come check me now, though.
Right. The game ain't the same.
The game ain't the same. What price was yesterday, today price ain't the same.
Yeah.
Right.
But Kevin Samuels, he was speaking some real stuff, but like I said, he was blunt. He was raw. And he said what came off his tongue. And I can take it. And it really did help me.
Help you get
right. And I was literally, one day I
yourself.
was at work listening to it on my iPad. I'm like, oh my God, this is me. It was like kind of embarrassing.
Wow.
Because I never look, you know, sometimes if you don't got people around you to check you, I can see what you do, but I can't see what I do.
Right.
So you need people around you strong enough to be like, yo, Rick, you doing some stupid shit. I don't got that many people behind me that's going to tell me about myself. I felt like that stranger was checking me and I needed to be checked. And I sat there, I listened, put my big girl panties on, sat in the corner and figure out what I had to do. I like alpha men. You gotta be a woman. You gotta be more feminine. What ways can you do to be more feminine?
Wow.
I never was that girl that walked outside with a hair bonnet on though. But I start dressing up a lot more, wearing more dresses, stop wearing jeans, don't wear as many sneakers, start putting stilettos on. So you can more alpha man can gravitate to me and not be go searching.
Right.
For it. And it worked. That energy changed. My energy, I turned into a whole new person. I said, oh Jesus.
Wow.
All from Kevin. And that's real.
Wow. That's the power. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. That's a gravitating.
Just that one line alone.
Right. That one line alone.
Are you being a wife?
Are you being a wife? Look within yourself. I like that. I like criticism. I like something that helps build self-esteem. I like something that helps build change, because it's never too late to build a change in your mind to make you more I like when Mike gave me criticism just on not with life, but anything. But when we were doing the podcast first starting out, you know, I talked too much, and I watched the tapes, and I got to see it. I'm not even letting the man deliberate. So I went back into the film room, and I took that criticism not personal. I took it as I could be better, not just in this podcast, but I could do that in how I'm doing business. Stop, listen, let people deliberate their words before you object. So I take that same thing Kevin Samuels is giving is what Mike was giving me. I'm not afraid of criticism, but I need that to be a better me because Mike had it, Kobe had it, LeBron had it. You gotta have it to be great. You gotta accept it in order to make change so you could be a better you.
That's
and look what it created. But look what it created, though. That's the hard part because you at ground zero when you got to start all over again. You hear that in your mind. You got to start all over.
Like, damn, I thought I was the shit.
I thought I had this shit sold. I thought I was funny money. Damn.
Thought I had this in the bag.
And my girl commended what he said, and she was like, "Yeah, you did cut him off a lot. Yeah. But you know what? It was all good because it just helped me get better, take my time a little bit, study my work." And then go back to the drawing board and be better and deliberate and let the man have free interchange so we could be better at what we doing and get branded and be something big. And I take that same thing that Kevin Samuels was giving into my own life. It's like, yeah, you know what? He's right. I got to be more of a reflection of a alpha male instead of just letting it come to me. Let me stop and move on. As you can hear right there, that means cut.